This is KUGAN CASSIUS for IFL-TV in association with Macklin's Gym Marbella. We're in Berlin. They have the weigh-in fighting tomorrow night. I've got our very own David Price. How are you, David?
Good, thanks.
Yeah?
Yeah, great.
Feeling relaxed ahead of your fight tomorrow night?
Yeah, nice and relaxed. Just pleased to finally get back in the ring. It's been a while. It's been 8 months, I think. So, just nice and calm and just enjoy today, really, and then see what tomorrow brings.
You've had a slight injury. Give us a little update about that.
I tore my bicep in December, like 12 days before the fight. My left bicep in my last sparring session, I think it was, which was a ball ache, really. It was a nightmare. But these things happen. But give me a bit of time to go away and reflect, and just have a think about things from a different perspective. And I feel in a way it probably happened for a good reason. The opponents I was fighting, there was no great shakes, and I wouldn't have got any credit for beating them. It would have just been a payday, obviously, but it would have been nice before Christmas. But I feel that it probably worked out better that it happens in a way. So I'm happy to be back in tomorrow.
Tomorrow night, you come across Costa Jr. A pretty decent record, to be honest. Out of 18 fights, he's won 16 of them. Only been beaten twice, I believe. What do you know about him?
Yeah, it's a similar record to myself. The two defeats he's had has been against top 10 ranked opponents. One is Tyson Fury's next opponent, who he lost to on points, and the other one was Joseph Parker from New Zealand, who's in the top 10, and that was like a one-punch showreel knockout, which can happen to any heavyweight at any time, and I won't be reading into that at all. So, from what I've seen of him, he looks like a big, strong man, really, who likes to come forward and try and walk you down, and pretty decent defence, knows how to take care of himself, but it's something that I should be able to take care of.
This will be your fourth fight under Sauerland. You took pretty drastic measures, but you took career-changing decisions after your Thompson defeats to get your career back on track. Where are you in that stage at the moment?
Up to now, I'm in a good place. I'm ranked handily with a couple of governing bodies, which is one of the reasons why Sauerland appealed to me, because they get things done. I think I'm 8 with the WBO, 9 with the IBF, and obviously there's room for manoeuvre in the other governing bodies as well the further we go along. And in boxing, you don't need to get to the top by being involved in absolute wars every time. You've got to do it properly and pick the right opponents at the right time, and this is what these are good at, and they've got a track record for it. And so 3 fights in, and my rankings as high as it ever was when I was a British champion or whatever, and it's going well. It's worked out well. We've got this tonight, which is a good little setup for the end of May, where we're looking at coming home to Liverpool. Cal has just informed me. This is setting it up nicely, because Paul's top of the bill. There's a lot of British people over here. The fight's on Sky, so it works out nice, and things are progressing well.
How much has it helped you in that time period not to be headlining shows, being put under pressure of the Echo Arena sold out, that you could have had these fights not slipped under the radar? Everyone knows you're fighting, but you're having these fights to sort of help you get back on track, and that's kind of like what's happened.
Yeah, at first it was a big help initially, and then as we're moving along, it's becoming, we're ready to get back. I don't want to be out on the continent constantly. England and Liverpool in particular is where my bread's buttered, and that's where I sold a lot of tickets, and I want to bring heavyweight boxing back to the city, big time heavyweight boxing, and that's what I intend to do. So at the moment, I'm happy to be fighting tomorrow, obviously on a big show, but I have got itchy feet to get back headlining bills, because that's what I'm in it for. And the pressure that was on me you know, when I said before about having time to reflect on things and everything else, I mean, even after the Tony Thompson defeats, all the thinking in the world, you know, I didn't come to the conclusion that the only pressure on me was from myself. And I've only recently come to that conclusion, so I've took the pressure off myself now. You know, the worst things that could happen in boxing has happened to me twice. I'm still here. I'm on the road to redeeming myself, so to speak. So, you know, I'm going to get in the ring carefree in a manner which isn't going to be careless, but it'll be, you know, less pressure on myself, and I'll enjoy it. I know I'll enjoy it because I've enjoyed training more, I've enjoyed sparring more. So, you know, it's just it's going to make a big difference.
You want to be undoubtedly in fights with the biggest and best names in heavyweight boxing. When are you ready for that? Are you ready for that now?
I think I am, yeah. I think I need to sharpen my tools a little bit more in fights, you know, which are gonna test me. Hopefully that'll come tomorrow, and then, you know, we'll step it up accordingly. The next fight after this will be another step up, and then after that, you know, providing that my next opponent's a world-ranked opponent, after that I'm ready then to step in with the big boys, I believe. I'm not talking Vladimir Klitschko, I'm talking the other contenders, the other fellas coming through, because ability-wise, it's never been a question with the ability. You know, now I've addressed the say problems, you know, the issues which probably led to me second defeat to Tony Thompson. That's been addressed, and I think, you know, I'll be at my best, and there'll be no excuses. You know, if I don't come out on top against these so-called contenders, then, you know, just we ain't good enough, you know.
I remember when you turned professional, and like I said, as you were having fight by fight and disposing of these opponents very quickly, there was a huge amount of hype around you, and people were sort of saying, you know, this is it. This is the next British world heavyweight champion that's going to come. And in some way, did that contribute to what happened in them Tony Thompson defeats, or not?
I think the first defeat, yes. It's hard not to get caught up in the hype, you know, and as much as you try not to, you can get caught up in your own hype, and it's a difficult thing to try and ignore it. You know, you're reading these things about yourself, and if I knew then what I know now, I just wouldn't read anything, good or bad, you know. But anyway, you know, you're reading what people's opinions are. Everyone's loading you up and patting you on the back, but not only that, it's not just believing what other people. You do start believing that you're invincible, and I was guilty of that. I thought to be able to get in the ring, as soon as my right hand landed on anyone, then it was game over. And, you know, I was getting in the ring with a lack of patience. You know, I wanted to get in and get out as quick as possible because I weren't getting ring time in the previous fights. So I was getting in and just wanted to blast them out and get out and go on to the next one. And, you know, I did believe in the first Tony Thompson fight that as soon as I landed, because of his age and whatever else, and he didn't look in the best of his shape, that you know, he'd be out of there. And I paid the price. And like I said, if I knew then what I know now, things might have turned out differently. And although, you know, if I could change it, I would, but I can't. So, you know, you accept it and move on. And like I said the other week on Ringside, it's part of my story, you know, and it's contributed to where we are today. You know, I'm in a different setup, different team. You know, I had to look at things differently, technically, mentally, physically. Everything's changed for the better, and you know, it's probably worked out for the best.
Whose suggestion was it that you would rematch Tony Thompson so soon after that defeat? Was that ultimately something you wanted and you went to Frank and said, I want that, or did he say you should get back in the ring with him? How did that go?
I'll tell you what happened, and you know, clear this up, because I've read a few things, or been told a few things that have been said. I did, after a few weeks of mulling it over, decide that I wanted the rematch with Tony Thompson. So we went down for a meeting with Frank, and I told him what I wanted. I didn't make any demands. The conversation went like this. I said, Frank, I want the rematch with Tony Thompson. Frank Maloney said, okay, I was going to say that, or fight Derek Chisora, because Frank Warren's offered you X amount of pounds to fight Derek Chisora. And in my eyes at that time, the more difficult fight was the Derek Chisora fight, because, you know, at the time, stylistically, Derek's strength and everything, I was thought it'd be a physically tougher fight than Tony Thompson. And the positives from fighting Tony Thompson at that time was that it was an instant redemption. It was an instant return to where it was if it won the fight. You know, there was too much to gain in fighting Tony Thompson, and it was like a quick way back to where it was, you know. And that was it. So as soon as that got said, someone got on the phone and made the call, and it was simple as that. Franny, my trainer, he wanted me to fight Martin Rogan. He wanted me to step back and, you know, defend my British title against Martin Rogan, win the Lonsdale belt outright, and then get back in with whoever, you know. And that would have been the best option in hindsight. But yeah, I mean, ultimately it was my idea, and that was that.
After that first or second Thompson defeat, what was, because like I said, that big hype around you, and then you suffered 2 defeats. What did you feel like the public and fan perception of David Price was? Was it, not saying a reality check, but was it kind of a reality check to what the sport can be like if you're not at the top of your game, if you're not winning, if you're not performing and doing what the fans and the public expect you to do? And when it goes the other way, that some people sort of, well, that's David Price done. That kind of attitude.
Yeah, look, I've done it myself with footballers. I've done it myself with football managers, things like that, you know. 1 minute they're on top of the world, and then they have a few bad defeats, and you're like, no, he's going to have to go, type of thing. And boxing's no different, and I know that. I know that from when I turned pro, because I come out of the Olympics as a bronze medalist, but I got stopped in my semi-final by the gold medalist, pardon me. And people would write me off before I'd even turned pro. And then the same people, 10 fights in, were saying, you know, I'm going to be the next big thing. So I understand that, and it's not really an issue. I mean, I appreciate fans' opinions, and that they've got entitled to opinion, because without fans, there'd be no sport of boxing. But for me personally, I'd rather, ignorance is bliss, you know. I'd rather not know whether they think I'm good or bad, unless they want to come up and say it to my face, which is why I don't go on Twitter anymore, because it's if someone can say something to me that they would never in a million years walk up to me and say to my face, then I don't want to read it. And I know there's probably a lot of well wishes on there and everything else, but it just doesn't, the good doesn't outweigh the bad for me on there. So just stay away and keep a clear head, and I'm in a better place mentally for it. But yeah, after the second defeat, I got called for everything, you know. When people saying I had no heart, I had no chin, I had no this and that, and let me tell you, that Tony Thompson fight, I give everything I had in that second Tony Thompson fight, but I just didn't have enough in the tank to give anything past that. At that point, I give everything. I give everything, and you know, the way it went was a result of overtraining, overthinking, you know, everything blown out of proportion in my head. And I remember the week of the fight, I'd done a public workout, and done a few rounds on the pads with Lennox Lewis, and after the training session, I was fucked. I was done, and I was like, I'll be all right, Saturday. And it just weren't. It was like just fighting an uphill battle from the word go. So that's where I stand on that.
Did the Lennox Lewis thing help or hinder? that time?
Yeah, I'd have to be honest and say it hindered me at that time because, like I've said in the past, having someone around you who's such a big personality and a legend in the sport, and someone who you've always regarded as, you know, your all-time favourite fighter type of thing. It was like trying to live up to him, you know. Although it shouldn't have been that way, but that's the way I interpreted it. And I was trying to live up to Lennox Lewis in the gym when he was showing me things and things like that. And it was like, from the word go, it was pretty difficult. And it was made more difficult because it was coming off a defeat. If it would have been coming off a victory, or if it would have been going and working with him with a lesser of a challenge than an instant rematch, then, you know, it might have worked out, because the things he showed me, they were things I still think about now and use and everything else, but it all added to the hype of the fight, which you know, increased the pressure that I put on myself, and that was it. But great experience, you know, and he showed me countless things that work for him, mightn't work for me. You know, but we changed, for all the training I've been doing since I turned pro, changed completely for this one big fight, and we probably needed more time, but great experience. Sorry.
Do you see similarities in the hype you was getting after 11, 12, 13 fights to what Anthony Joshua was getting now? Do you see similarities?
Yeah, it's natural if there's a heavyweight coming through blasting people out, because that's what fans want to see. If you're a heavyweight boxer, fans want to see, they want to see blood and guts. They want to see people getting concussed, and that's what I was doing, and that's what Anthony Joshua was doing, and it gets people excited. And, you know, Anthony Joshua was an Olympic champion as well, so if history tells you anything, he's the more likely to go on and achieve a world champion, a world title, like the greats of the past have. But I think the hype surrounding Anthony Joshua was a lot more than what I was getting. But it's good, you know. At the time when all this hype's around you and people are talking to you and stopping you in the street for photos and things like that, it can become a little bit of a pain in the ass. But when it's gone, you're like, oh no, you know, I was doing something right there. For that to happen, I want it to start happening again, because it means you're doing something right. But he is under, you know, he's surrounded by a lot of hype, but I get the feeling he's got a mature head on his shoulders from the way he speaks. I don't really know Anthony Joshua that well. You know, we've met each other a few times, but and we speak when we see each other. But he just seems to have a quite a mature head on his shoulders, and he might be able to deal with it differently than I did.
You were recently at his fight. He was working for Sky, and obviously the undoubted questions at the time, you know, Price, Joshua, blah blah blah. But possibility for next year?
Yeah, I think so. I think this year's out of the question. Not from as far as I'm concerned. Like I've said, I was minding my own business, because I thought, you know, Anthony Joshua was coming along at his own pace, and when the time's right, they'll, you know, they might mention something. But Eddie Hearn started mentioning it, which was okay, fair enough. But like I've said, the hype surrounding Anthony Joshua, the money that's probably being put into him, you know, everything else, I don't think that they're quite ready to risk a fight with someone like me in the summer. Next year, maybe, or until you know, Nisser and Khaled have sat down round the table with Eddie Hearn and you know, had an official conversation about the fight happening. Then it's all speculation and just talk, really. But you know, if it interests the fans, it interests me, and I want to be involved in big fights. And like I said, because of the profile that he's building and Sky are building around him, it's going to be a big fight. And I've obviously got my own profile and my own following and everything else.
Obviously, when before your Thompson's defeat, there was always this talk about the fight with Tyson Fury. He's put himself into a good position at the moment. He fights Christian Hammer next weekend, and he's put himself into the Klitschko mix now. So when he'll get that mandatory shot is yet to be seen. But is that out of the window, a fight with you and Fury?
No, I don't think it is by any stretch of the imagination. I think that's still a fight that captures the British public's imagination, probably more than me versus Joshua, because of the history involved and everything else. But I think, we don't know when he's going to get a shot, and he deserves a shot because he's got himself in that position. If they delay the shot, are they going to want to, again, fight a big puncher like myself and risk? It's risk-reward again, and if anything, it'll probably happen after a challenge to Klitschko, which I believe Klitschko would win. Because I can't see Klitschko losing a fight in any time in the immediate future. But, maybe after the challenge that he's put up with Klitschko, he'll come back and he won a big fight. And let's not forget, as time's passing, I'm going to be rebuilding more and more. And before we know it, I'll have won my last 6 fights. I'll be ranked highly in the governing bodies, and it's going to be a big fight if it can happen. But I'm still hopeful of it happening, and I think it's still a fight that he'd like to have because, it was always personal with me and Tyson Fury. Although I've never had much to say about it, he had plenty to say about it. It's always a personal thing, and it's a fight that it will happen before both of our careers are over.
Okay, just finally, the WBC heavyweight titles changed weight, shall we say, a couple of times since Klitschko let it go. Stavern, and now Deontay Wilder's the new champion. Did you watch the fight between Stavern and Wilder? What did you think, David?
I thought Wilder boxed really well on the back foot. For a heavyweight to move as much as he did and keep boxing on the back foot for 12 rounds, considering he hadn't gone past 4 rounds, was impressive. We wobbled Stavern a couple of times. Stavern's durable, tough. I expected Stavern to win the fight. I expected him to catch Wilder and knock him out, but Wilder performed really well, and he's a worthy champion. But I can see that belt changing hands a couple of times over the next couple of years. I think Povetkin's in line to fight Wilder, and Povetkin's a different proposition than Stavern. I think at his best, he looked really good in his last couple of fights. So I can see that changing hands next couple of years, and hopefully I can get myself positioned nicely in that WBC route as well. But see what happens.
All right, David. Listen, thanks for talking to IFL TV. We're weighing in today. Luxury of a heavyweight. Don't have to worry too much about that. But Paul Smith, obviously, is fighting for a world title tomorrow night. Fellow Scouser, and let's hope he can bring that belt back to England.
Yeah, I've got every confidence that he will as well. Spoke to him last night. He's feeling good. He's nice and relaxed. I was surprised really at how calm he was and chilled out, and that's going to benefit him when he gets in the ring, because I think last time he was probably a lot more nervous getting into the ring, and he'll be nice and fresh Saturday night. Confident that he can win the fight, and I'm hopeful, like all of us, that he's going to do it, bring it home.
A hat-trick of English wins tomorrow would be great. Josh Warrington also on the bill, so let's hope you all do it.
We will. Hat-trick tomorrow, yeah.
Hat-trick will be brilliant. All right, well listen, thank you very much for talking to us and spending a little bit of time with us, and like I said, we've got the weigh-in at 4 o'clock, which is going to be quite something. A lot of Brits over here. Absolutely, and then tomorrow night it's on, so. All right, KUGAN CASSIUS with David Price here for IFL TV. Watch the action tomorrow night, live on Sky Sports. Thank you very much.